Bakugo, never change. Please, never change. Never go against your character. After seeing Bakugo's one-liner and him saying to Shigaraki, eat shit and die, I jumped for joy. Internal screaming. Internal fucking screaming. Just because that was hype. That internal screaming was hype. Just because Bakugo's not... He's not going to straight up just say, nah, I'm just going to become a villain. He's not doing that. And seeing how he said that, it made me smile. I'm very happy to see that. Just to see how he is resisting. Now, I will say that made the chapter's ending conclusion very fucking awesome. Now, talking about the overall setup of this chapter. Very realistic in a way. It's realistic, and I know there's going to be many coming in here and comparing it to Naruto. I've already seen it a couple of times in the comments. I've seen it messaged to me multiple times for these past couple weeks. People saying this is like a Sasuke retrieval arc. And I've talked about how I didn't want the students to come and go retrieve, Bakugo, because this should be for the pro heroes. And honestly, I'm still slightly disappointed that our characters are still having to go retrieve Bakugo. Even though our main heroes, they are going in, and they're going to be, going to go save Bakugo, which... if my theory proves correct, what I've been saying for the past couple weeks, it seems like All Might will probably die in this arc. But, getting off of that, though, I don't believe the way this has been set up, it is exactly similar to the Sasuke retrieval arc, because this chapter opens up a lot of, I guess, eyes to many, and many might realize how different this is from the standpoint of how that arc was with Naruto. I know many people love comparing this series to Naruto, but after seeing this right here, I can't really say it's very similar in a way. I really can't, because Bakugo's line alone, how he just said eat shit and die, that's pretty much letting us know that he is not going to become a villain. But on top of that, seeing what, each individual character said of what they want to do or accomplish before they go to save Bakugo, it was properly set up. It had the right emotions behind it, the weight of the characters of what they had to bring behind them and what they were doing or why they were doing this. It fits with the overall morals of the series. It didn't come out of nowhere, and I love how the mangaka took the time to actually dive into each individual character that's going to be joining in to go save Bakugo. He took the time to actually show why they're going. For instance, let's talk about Ida, Todoroki, and, Izuku's situation, okay? These three have had, a connected plot thread for a very long time. We've gotten to see in, one of the major arcs, with the Stain arc, Ida, he was going down a very dark path. He was doing something that is very selfish, far from a hero, almost close to a villain or anti-hero. And what he was doing was something you couldn't be considered to be a good thing. And he put a lot of people in danger, he risked a lot of lives, and he hurt the Hero Association's name. He hurt their entire image and all that. And thanks to, Todoroki and Izuku, they were able to kind of put it under wraps, and it wasn't really open all out to the public. But still, what Ida did was very damaging. And Todoroki and Izuku, they went to save Ida to try to stop him from doing the exact same thing that Ida's trying to do to stop Todoroki and Izuku from doing. And it's a very great chapter the way that was set up, showcasing that Ida, he's carrying this development he got from the last arc. He's not forgetting about that, because there's a lot of characters, even in a lot of shonen I've seen, to where they'll get this very powerful moment in an arc, but then they won't use that character development or that moment that they got in that arc, that overall meaning, and they won't carry it over to something else that kind of contradicts what they did. And I'm glad to see that Ida has grown up. He has definitely changed, and he's matured for the better. Now, I know many might say, wait a minute, Chibi, he's still going, though, so what's the point? It's not like he changed then. Technically, he did change. The reason why he is going, from my viewpoint, is because he knows that he can't stop them. He does not have the strength to stop all of them. But him going, it's where he doesn't want to feel like he couldn't do nothing to begin with. He's going for he can at the very least do something to protect them. Because if he can't stop them, he'd rather be with them, for he can there, at the very least, fight for them and save them if something does happen. If he's not there, he doesn't want to be worrying that they're off risking their lives, killing themselves, and he's not there at all. So what Ida's doing is staying well within his character development he got in the Stain arc. So I have no issue with Ida going in with this, retrieving, Bakugo. Now, talking about Izuku and talking about Todoroki. Todoroki, his entire reason of going, it makes a lot of sense. He's emotionally hurt at this moment of not being able to save the person in front of him. He couldn't grab Bakugo's hand he reached out for. He lost him. And, I mean, if something like that happened to you and a friend at that, I feel like you would want to go out there and save that person. It makes a lot of sense, and especially with, what type of stuff that Bakugo, Izuku, and Ida, and all of them have went through, and Todoroki, all this stuff they went through, it makes a lot of sense why you would want to save them, because there's been a lot of character development that Todoroki has went through as well, especially in the tournament arc. Now, talking about Izuku, we already know how Izuku is. He's willing to go well beyond his capabilities to be a hero and do anything he can to save someone, even at the cost of his own life, or his own well-being. When you see what he did in the last arc, and you see how he stretched his body past the limits. He pushed his body past his limiter. And we get to see the repercussions of this in this chapter. His body is beat down. It's broken. And it's pretty much point blank said to us that if he does this 2 to 3 more times, he will no longer have any more functional arms. Like, his arms will not be able to work anymore. And that's very bad. That automatically sets a limiter for Izuku before the series is even done. Like, something like this being told to us this early on the series is actually scary, because something like this is usually said maybe, let's just take a shonen for a second, okay? Usually shonen are a couple hundred chapters, okay? Let's just say a rough estimate, shonens usually are maybe 300, 400 chapters, just a very rough estimate if it becomes a long running. And because of this, usually shonen don't give this type of plot thread with, like, a character, if you use this so many times, you won't be able to do it again, until right before the series ends. But this is not at the end of the series. If, we get to the point to where Izuku finally becomes a pro hero and stuff, maybe I could say we're almost towards the end of the series. But seeing this right here, this is actually very damaging, because that would mean that Izuku, he's shortening his life, and he's going to probably die very soon, probably before the series ends, or not be able to be a hero anymore before the series ends, and he might end up in the same situation as All Might. Like, imagine this. Since Izuku wants to become All Might, he wants to surpass All Might in a way. Like, he's eventually going to surpass him and get stronger because of the generation thing. Just imagine if he ends up in the same situation as All Might, to where he cannot fight for a long period of time. For instance, how All Might can't fight for a long time because he's, been weakened from a previous battle. What if Izuku ends up in the same way because of him damaging his arms? So I could see how this could be a potential setup for that in the future, for repercussions for what Izuku is doing. But also seeing how he's wanting to save Bakugo, it makes a lot of sense too why he would want to go in. I mean, for one, Bakugo and Izuku, they've known each other for a very long time. They're pretty much, childhood friends, and then also the connection between them with the first chapter throughout the entirety of the series and all that, and then, how Bakugo used to pick on Izuku, and Izuku used to, kind of be nice to Bakugo. It's just all these different connections throughout the entirety of the series. We know why Izuku wants to save him. We've seen this development. So that makes sense there. So Todoroki, Izuku, and Ida's character development going after Bakugo to save him makes a lot of sense. Now, the others, like, for instance, Tokoyami, him right there, he pretty much was against it. Like, he point blank said, like, I'm kind of against it, and I guess that fits with his character, but I mean, since he does care for everybody, I'm willing to bet he would tag along with his friends. And then seeing, what Momo's doing as well, she has the tracker, she probably feels very responsible, since she can give this information to help him, and since she knows that her friends most likely will go no matter what, she's probably just doing what she can to help them out, to make sure they can at the very least stay safe. Now, the one thing I do like about this arc that was already point blank said to us is that they're not going in to fight. And this is a very big difference from the Sasuke retrieval arc that I know many are trying to compare this to, which it's completely different. This is not going to be, like, mainly about battles. I feel like, I know many are probably doubting that, Izuku's group is going to be able to go in without fighting, and I doubt that myself. But I feel like majority of the fighting is going to be left to All Might's crew, because they introduced All Might's crew, like, the top heroes. You get to see, like, Edge Shot? Yeah, Edge Shot. Like, he has all them edges. You have, Endeavor. He's also there. You have All Might. And then there was someone else. I forget the exact name. Edge Shot, Endeavor. And then, let's see. The Genist. I think that's what his name was. The Genist. But, pretty much you have 4 heroes. I think their third great hero is not there. Like, number 3 is not there at all. I might have missed him, but I didn't see him. So, I mean, overall, with the setup, I feel like All Might's crew might do majority of the fighting, then All Might might die. And then, on top of that, you have it to where Izuku's crew sneaks into some recon and saves Bakugo, and then, you know, All Might dies. I feel like that's what's probably going to go on in this upcoming arc. But yeah, very good setup. I feel like the way it's been done, it's tasteful enough to where I could say that it's not a copycat. It's not something that is going against the norms of what Boku no Hero Academia usually does, because Boku no Hero Academia usually kind of breaks these normal shonen tropes, and it's still trying to break that. I could see that, and I like the way the mangaka is kind of taking it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Oh, whoa. I actually gotta mention one thing. I almost ended this video before I even fucking mentioned it. That Tsuyu, that's Tsuyu characterization at the end of the chapter. Showcasing her family and stuff, and her father and mother and brother and sister, just, what? And then the friend, that was the snake. I'm willing to bet that friend that's the snake is probably going to be very important in the future. I'm willing to bet. But very cute little characterization Tsuyu got. For the most part, it was just kind of diving a little bit more into her character's background, and it was enjoyable. I mean, if you like Tsuyu, which I do like her as a character, you're going to definitely enjoy that final portion of this chapter. So anyways, you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.